you need to be ready with many stories. Question may be same or the question may change. The story cannot change. You need to have a nice story, and then you need to present it according to the question asked. And that is very, very important. So that requires a lot of practice, taking many, many mock interviews. That also helped me improvise my way of putting forward my story.
Maybe you could just give us a little background about yourself. What has been your, experience so far, and also why did this thought of an MBA come to your mind?
Speaking about my personal professional life, so I basically have an engineering background. And then I had very good training of for JEE and NEET in my 11th and 12th, and I always wanted that. I just saw that so much potential is there in this field of education. So when I was in my first year of engineering, so I did my engineering in NDK Suratkal. So when I was studying in this engineering college, so I thought of making some pocket money out of whatever I have learned in these 2 years. So I started a small coaching center near my engineering college, that is Suratkal, and then things grew, and I hired many of my classmates and some of my juniors to take classes in that coaching academy. And then I expanded the centers in Bangalore and then to Mysore. And then also I started a PU college in Dharwad. It's a place in North Karnataka. So then after doing so, then I have basically tried my best to use all my skills, my experience, etc., to basically build this entire company, which had its roots starting from the day one of my engineering. But the only thing which I always felt is I tried my best, but I was unable to reach the expectation or the level which I really wanted to. So when basically I understood that the problem doesn't just lie in the market, it also lies in a person who's leading it, in the sense that if the person is more trained, he will basically make more conscious decisions, more calculated decisions, so that decisions makes a lot of difference. And when this was going on, then basically I thought of doing an MBA. But in the times of COVID, I had this thought of doing an MBA. But in times of COVID, I also had an opportunity to start a consulting firm. It's an education consulting firm. We help it's a B2B consulting firm. We help different PU colleges across North Karnataka. And having been working there for past 2.5 years, I also felt that I am more intuitive in basically getting into a consulting field. With all this added things, I thought, okay, MBA would be a nice fit for me, because first of all, I will learn the basics of business properly in a class setup. That's one thing. Second is I'll also be able to pivot to an more consulting type of management consulting type of a role, and that was the reason which impelled me to go for my MBA.
As an entrepreneur, as someone so young during your graduation, starting your your whole business, managing your GMAT studies at the same time, what was going on in your mind when you're hustling so much in the first rather 1 year, I think, more from your GMAT?
Basically any guy working in a corporate setup or any like a startup type of ecosystem, it's always tough to find time. And if you find time, the best thing what you feel like, let us take some rest, or let us basically like use it for some entertainment purpose. But the only thing is that at that junction, you basically sacrifice your own personal things and set aside 2-3 hours every day studying for GMAT would be always a challenging thing. Initially it was difficult for me. It was like on and off. I tried some weeks together, I studied, then after that I just some 2-3 weeks I was unable to touch my book, etc. That's the main reason why this GMAT, taking my GMAT exam, it went on for a year. Actually, that training or the things which basically happened, it went on for a year. And I always recommend anyone trying for writing this GMAT. Consistency is the most important thing. The more consistent you are, every day spending at least 1.5 hours, and on Saturday, Sunday spending a little more than that, and then you can easily crack it in around 6 to 8 months. So that would be the thing. And how I hustled is basically I started basically handing over my responsibility to my co-founders, and that was the thing which that is the only reason I got some little time to prepare. And preparation wise also, like I was a little overconfident in quant because I used to teach mathematics for JEE Advanced students, mathematics and physics. So that was also one of the side which I was a little overconfident. And verbal was, it was a little uphill for me because being an Indian engineer, not much exposure to different types of grammatical rules, etc. Though we have learned in our schooling, that was not that was not precise actually. So that was an uphill. I took more time for verbal than for quant, but ultimately by the guidance of especially Arun sir, his ways of teaching verbal was very creative, and you can easily understand the small finer details of the subject when it is explained by sir. And also one more verbal teacher also, I was attending his classes. Both really helped me a lot in basically giving that foundation, and then able to crack good marks in my GMAT.
More from the colleges, you were very clear from the beginning itself that you wanted to apply to US. What was your thought process of sticking to that geography, and why only US was on your top list?
I had a couple of criterias which I wanted it to be covered in that tenure of 2 year MBA. Basically, the first was I wanted a time basically where I can really learn the business, I can go through the business education. I didn't want a crash course where you just learn everything in an year or something. So that's the reason UK or like the entire Europe was out of my checklist. The only option I had was either Singapore or Australia, US, etc. But seeing different people working in companies, like I have my own sister who passed out from IIM Bangalore, a cousin sister. So basically she had an idea that she was working with many US MBA grads, and she always felt that the US type of education has always been a little superior in terms of the way they teach practical management skills compared to any other B schools. But though every school has an individual advantage, but US had this extra advantage of having the Fortune 500 companies where you can easily get in, and then basically you can work there, learn the way they work, and more so US degree can help you to get a job anywhere in the world. That's also one of the reasons why. And I always thought I wanted to pivot or try some different stream. Maybe I would try a finance thing, or I want to try something about maybe marketing. So I just thought of having this internship period in whichever MBA college I go basically. So that's the reason. One of the reasons is 2 years you get a good time for internship, and you can try 2 or 3 internships, and then you can decide where you really fit in. That was also one of the reasons. In 1 year MBA, especially in the Europe or even in ISB, that option was not there. So that's also one of the reason why I felt US to be my only or my best option basically.
More from that application process, right? Again, we went through almost 2 cycles together in terms of the entire application process.
Yeah.
What did you realize about yourself in this whole process? More from an introspection perspective, more from a storytelling perspective. What did you realize in this whole process?
So basically, when I started, I understood that I am not a storyteller. I was not a storyteller. I never had this idea of basically how to present any topic in a way that can be presented to an admission committee, and it had you need to include emotions in that. You need to basically include a proper flow, that there should not be any breakage, etc. So I was not very clear, or I didn't know that this was the process. But after working with Arun sir and with Shrikala ma'am, so I was able to. It took time for me to refine my stories, But one thing which I really understood is, by this entire process, where madam and sir guided me, I became better in my storytelling abilities. And some institutes or some consulting firms, the consultant only writes the story, and the candidate is basically bereft of the learning which he can learn by understanding how to do storytelling. And major part of MBA, especially if you get into consulting, is about storytelling. So if you are very good at storytelling, then you can convince your in interview, you can convince your company, like in the recruitment, or you can also be if you are in a consultant, it's very helpful to convince a client or getting new businesses, etc. So this ability which I learned from both, I am very grateful for that.
Tell us about the interview process also, because you got interview calls for quite a few schools.
So I got an interview call from, first was McDonough School of Business, second was WP Carey School of Business. I got in from Rice University. I also got in from WashU All-in School of Business, Babson All-in School of Business. I got from these many schools, and the way I prepared was, the first is the materials which was provided by Crackverbal. So the materials in that, I just practice each and every question. Practice in the sense that I basically went to the question, I understood, okay, for this what type of answer should be given, and I was ready with my stories. So the most important thing which I want to share with my friends, etc., is that you need to be ready with many stories, because the question may be same or the question may change, the story cannot change. So that's the reason you need to have a nice story of your entire career path, and then you need to present it according to the question asked, and that is very, very important. So that requires a lot of practice. And one more help which I got from Srikala ma'am is taking many mock interviews. I had fortune of having many mock interviews with madam, maybe 3 or 4 in the course of 2 years basically. So that also helped me basically to improvise my way of putting forward my story or my answers basically.
Words of wisdom, any last thoughts, anything about Crackverbal that you want to mention?
I'm very grateful. I'm really happy that I worked with Arun sir and ma'am, because I really am taken aback by the way they are they tolerated me for this 2 years tenure. And I was troubling a lot, Arun sir, in terms of my application, etc., because I was very busy at that time, and I was not getting time. And whenever I used to get time, I used to try pressurizing, etc., sir, and trying to get my work done. But even though with all my foolish the efforts which I did, sir was very patient, very tolerant, and he did really help me. And I learned a lot from him, basically as an senior, as an elder brother. So basically how to run a company, education company, because I also come from the same type of entrepreneurial background. That is one thing I'm very grateful from sir. And madam was always there, helping me. Anything, any message I used to ping ma'am, so I used to get a reply within some minutes or within some hours. And always she was helpful in all sense, starting from preparing for the GMAT or for application process, or when I got an interview, how to prepare any particular questions which I was facing some problem, or at that point of basically going for a visa interview or getting a consultant for my visa, etc. So she was very considerate, and always whenever she felt anything to share, she should basically share with me in terms of visa, or in terms of the B school interview prep. So I am very grateful to madam for this entire whatever she basically helped me with. I'll always remember this help from both of them.
Thank you so much. All the best for your next steps.